surviving after crash landing in another world. Two stones struck each other on the path above. Minjun lowered his backpack again. The marker he had set up at the entrance had fallen over. A moment later came the sound of something scraping against rock.
It's here.
Sol picked up the wrapper beside the fire. It held 2 dried insects and the rest of the chocolate. Minjun checked the tiny fire first. The flame was less than a finger high. Making it any bigger would be as good as showing the black beast the way to them. He touched the end of the last dry root to the flame. Once the red ember caught, he wrapped it in thin bark.
Let's head down.
The 2 of them had come from above. They had yet to check the downward path. Minjun smothered the small fire with a stone. Sol put the wrapper in the backpack. Holding the ember, Minjun shouldered the pack. Another stone rolled somewhere above. Neither of them could run. Sol dragged her right foot, while Minjun braced himself against the wall whenever his left knee buckled. They moved a little faster when they leaned on each other, but they could not keep it up for long. Minjun's right arm also burned with pain every time it took Sol's weight.
Step carefully.
If we go slowly, it'll catch us.
If you fall, it'll catch us even faster.
Sol did not answer. Instead, her grip tightened on Minjun's shoulder. The path continued to slope downward. Fine gravel covered the floor, scraping noisily whenever they dragged their feet. Minjun picked his way along the edge, where there was less gravel. Sol planted her left foot in the same spots. She could not keep her right foot on the ground for long. The scraping behind them gradually drew closer. After 2 turns, a stone wall blocked their way. The passage ceiling had dropped to chest height. The stone wall reached all the way up to it, leaving no way to climb over.
It's blocked.
Minjun raised the ember and illuminated the bottom of the wall. The drainage groove in the floor split to the left and right before the wall. Stones had fallen away above each branch, opening holes just large enough for a person to crawl through. When Minjun held out a hand, warm air flowed from the hole on the right. Cold water and outside air streamed from the hole on the left. A water channel carved long ago had become a fork in the path. Several stones rolled behind them. The beast was forcing its body into the lowered passage as it came. It was still beyond the last bend, but it would not take long to reach them. Minjun lowered the hand holding the ember.
We'll throw it to the right and go left.
As he turned, Sol caught his wrist.
Don't throw all of it. Use only the bright part as bait and take a small ember with us.
Minjun remembered their one remaining battery.
Let's do that.
They immediately got to work. Minjun snapped the burning root in half and held dry bark to the brighter piece. Sol cut a small strip from the hem of Minjun's shirt. Blue spores still dusted their sleeves and pant legs. They each wiped down their clothes once with the scrap of cloth, coating it in glowing spores. Then they wrapped it around the root and bark. The sound had reached the bend directly behind them. Minjun thrust his arm into the hole on the right and wedged the bait between 2 stones. The warm draft fed the flame. Sol wrapped the remaining tiny ember and some ash in bark. Leaving one end slightly open, Minjun placed it in the backpack.
Wash with the water on the left, don't drink it.
They hurriedly wiped down their outer clothes and exposed skin with the cold water, avoiding open wounds and burns. Blue-tinged water ran down the groove. Even in that brief span, their wet clothes chilled them. Dragging her stiff right foot, Sol lay flat before the hole on the left.
Can you crawl?
I'll use my arms and left foot.
A black head appeared from behind the final bend. Minjun pushed Sol by the waist. Using both arms and her left foot, she forced herself into the hole on the left, dragging her right foot without letting it touch the floor. Minjun followed her in. His wet clothes clung to the stone floor. Every time he put weight on his left knee, it pressed against the wound. Behind them, the beast reached the stone wall. Minjun could not turn his head. He could only listen to the scraping as its forepaws swept over the forked drainage grooves. A moment later, dry bark crackled somewhere to the right. The black beast's breathing stopped. Minjun stopped moving as well. The weight pressing against the floor shifted to the right. The scraping against stone also receded toward the warm side passage.
Go.
Sol spoke from ahead. The 2 of them crawled alongside the channel of cold water. After the first bend, the gap grew slightly taller. They still could not stand. Minjun pushed Sol by the waist to help her over a stone ledge. With no strength in his right arm, he braced her with his left shoulder instead. At the second bend, water had pooled up to their ankles. Sol's right foot touched the water. She clenched her teeth and swallowed a gasp. Minjun lifted her foot by supporting it below the ankle, but he could not hold it for long.
Let go. You'll hurt your arm even more.
Just a little farther.
Something crashed behind them. The beast must have disturbed the bait. The fire would not last long. Once the bait cooled, the beast would seek out the nearest body heat again. Minjun did not pick up the pace. He could not. Instead, he made sure they did not lose their way, following only the direction of the cold water's flow. The passage turned left again, then immediately right farther down. In some sections, the entire floor was wet. In their wake, only faint watermarks remained instead of blue light. Minjun stalked beyond the third bend. Sol also went still. For a while they held their breath. Far in the distance, they heard a single scrape. Then nothing more. Minjun waited long enough to count to 10. There was no sound of the beast returning. This time it was over. They had neither killed it nor trapped it. Still, they had broken off the pursuit when it had been right on their heels. Minjun rested his forehead against the wall and took a moment to catch his breath.
Can you keep going?
We can't rest here.
Sol's voice was weak. The two of them continued down along the water channel. Before long, the ceiling rose. Minjun straightened his back and looked around. Rotted planks leaned at an angle inside a collapsed stone wall. He could see gaps that had been filled in by hand and black scorch marks on the walls. People had once stayed here, but half the structure had now collapsed, leaving it open to the outside.
It looks like an old outpost.
Sol examined the larger entrance. Minjun did not enter right away. He checked the entrance first. It was wide enough for the two of them to pass through while supporting each other, but there was no door. They could conceal a small fire behind the angled wall inside. Water dripped steadily from a groove in the ceiling.
We can't drink that water right away either.
Not until we boil or test it.
The place where they had crawled out of the water channel was a narrow gap at the rear. A person had to lie flat to pass through it. When Minjun lifted one of the rotted planks, it split down the middle. Both exits stood open, and they did not have enough cloth to block the wind. It was hardly a good place to sleep. If they followed the water channel back upstream, they could return to the outlet where they had caught the insects. Even at their current pace, it was close enough for a round trip. If danger came, they could also flee in either direction through the wide entrance or the narrow rear gap.
Let's test it from here.
Minjun crawled back into the rear gap. He left his backpack behind and took only his knife. 2 body lengths in, the gap rejoined the water channel they had followed. Minjun went as far as the first bend and listened for any sign that the beast was following.
Can you hear me?
Sol called from inside. Her voice was quiet, but he could make out the words.
I can.
Minjun tapped twice on a stone beside the gap.
What about that?
Loud and clear.
When he returned inside, Sol checked the large entrance. She did not go far. Crouching just outside the entrance, she could see neither Minjun nor the spot for the fire behind the angled wall. Sol tapped the wall once. Minjun heard it too. No matter which way they fled, they would be able to signal each other. Minjun took the water bottle from his backpack. As before, a little less than half remained. It was the only container they had to catch the water dripping from the ceiling. But they could not mix untested water with their clean supply.
Let's split what's left and drink it now. We need to empty the bottle.
Sol drank half and handed the bottle over. Minjun finished the rest. When he placed the empty plastic bottle beneath the groove in the ceiling, the first drop fell inside.
Can we heat it in the bottle?
We can put only the part holding the water near hot coals. It'll melt if the flames touch it, so let's collect a little and test it first.
They could not drink it immediately. Still, they had a way to boil the water they collected. Sol sat behind the angled wall and stretched her right foot out in front of her. Her ankle was even more swollen than before. Her pant leg was tight enough to dig into the skin. Minjun used his knife to slit the side of the pant leg. As the fabric parted, the pressure marks beneath it were revealed.
It'll be difficult for you to move again today.
Checking the large entrance was the last time.
Sol leaned her back against the wall, then looked at Minjun.
You were going to throw the whole ember earlier, weren't you?
Yes.
If you'd thrown all of it in and gone inside, we would have lost the small ember too, and we wouldn't have washed away our trail with the water.
Minjun did not deny it.
You were right, Sol.
More than what you knew from dying before.
This time, it wasn't my memories that kept us alive.
Minjun looked at the bottle beneath the ceiling.
We survived because you suggested washing away our trail with water first and splitting the ember.
Sol was silent for a while.
That doesn't mean I believe everything you said about dying.
That's enough.
Minjun checked the ember in his backpack. A very faint red glow remained inside the bark. It looked as though he could revive it by adding a few pieces of dry bark. A source of food was nearby. They had a place to collect water. They also had 2 escape routes. If they repaired the place little by little, it would at least be better than a rocky crevice, with only one entrance. Just then, the wind flowing out through the large entrance died. Minjun raised his head. The smell of wet grass abruptly intensified. The wind began to blow in the opposite direction, pushing the damp outside air into the outpost. Blue spores poured down like rain. The wet spores clung to the floor of the large entrance. Some rode the wind as far as the angled wall.
We need to block the entrance.
Minjun dragged over a rotted plank. A cold wind also blew in from the rear. When he turned, blue light was spreading through the narrow gap as well. Wet spores were coming in through the rear exit too. Sol braced herself against the wall and tried to rise. The instant her right foot touched the floor, her leg buckled. Minjun hurriedly caught her by the shoulder.
Don't move.
If we stay here, they'll come in from both sides.
Minjun looked at what they had left. A few scraps of cut cloth, wet outerwear, one plank split down the middle, and two more that would crumble at a touch. If they blocked the large entrance, they would have nothing left to seal the rear gap. If they blocked the rear gap, spores would keep pouring in through the wide entrance. Sol could not be moved again. They could block only one opening,